So while we were working on the feature branch, the main branch got a new commit C3. In this case, we would say the two branches have diverged from the C1 commit. Now what we want is to merge our changes from the feature branch back to the main branch and basically create this C5 merge commit. But then we see that Git cannot automatically merge the changes, and it tells us that there are merge conflicts. In this video, we will consider the most common case of merge conflict, and we will see why it happens and how we can resolve it. Let's dive in. First, a quick reminder on the Git merge. Git considers the tip of the feature branch C4 and the tip of the main branch C3 and the common ancestor C1 commit, and from these three commits it tries to create the merge commit C5. Now let's assume that we have the following project, and the main and the feature branch have both modified the main.py file, and we have different versions in each branch. Now because we have two different versions, Git doesn't know which version to choose, so it tries to go one step further and look into the content of these two versions itself. So in case both of the branches have changed different parts of the file, Git will create a new file and it will keep both of the changes from the main and the feature branch. But as you can see, both of the main and the feature branch have changed line 24. So that's why Git doesn't know which version to keep, and that's why it raises this merge conflict. And it asks the user to decide which version to choose. Let's create the merge conflict and see how we can resolve the conflicts. Alright, I have the project open in VS Code and I'm on the main branch. Let's create a new feature branch and switch to it. I can use the command git checkout -b and then the name of the feature branch. I call it feature, and here we are. We basically created the branch and also switched to that branch using this checkout command. Now we can use the git branch command to see which branch we are. We are on the feature branch, so everything looks fine. Now let's make our changes. So I'm gonna just change these two hashtags, and that's it. Now let's do git status. We can see that the main file has modified. I'm gonna use git add -u to add the changes and check the status. And I'm gonna commit, let's say modify print in main.py and hit enter. I'm gonna clear. I'm gonna also make a small change to chapter 1 file. While on the feature branch, I'm just gonna remove this word small. That's it. Let's get back to our terminal. Let's use git status to check the status. Git add -u. It's a good practice to always check the status before committing to see what will be committed. And in this case, we see that in our staging we have this change. So now I'm gonna use git commit -m, and the message I will put update chapter 1.txt. And here we are. So I'm gonna clear. So basically we have these two new commits on the feature branch. And we can see that at the moment, the main branch is pointing at this commit. So basically the feature branch is not diverged from the main branch, but let's switch to the main branch and make a new commit on the main branch. Let's press Q. Now I'm gonna do git switch main to switch to main. So I'm on the main. We can confirm this by git branch. And now I'm just gonna go to the main file and on the same line. So I'm gonna try to change the same line to have merge conflict. All right, now let's get back to terminal, git status, git add -u. So -u basically adds only the modified files. Git status and git commit -m. So let's say use asterisk in print, and here we are. I'm gonna clear. I'm gonna check the git log, and we can see that the head is pointing to the main, and we're pointing at this commit, while previously we were pointing at this commit. And you can see that we don't see the feature branch here. We can use git log --graph --all, and this will show both of the branches. This commit is the common ancestor, and we have these two commits on the feature branch, while if you follow this red, we have only this one commit on the main branch. This is the base, merge base, and we have two commits for feature and one commit on the main branch. All right, let me press Q. I'm gonna clear. Before starting the merge process, I want to also show you the content of the index. So if you do git ls files dash dash stage. So this shows the current snapshot of our project, which is basically the last commit of the main branch because we are on the main branch, which basically shows the mapping we have or the tree that we have. So for example, for the main.py file, this is the version that we have in this current snapshot of our commit. So this is the blob ID we have. Note that we have all these numbers are 0, 0. This is called the indexing number. And normally when we have a one-to-one mapping, which is usually the case, we have this index set to 0. We will come back to this indexing when we have merge conflicts. So let's merge the feature branch into the main branch. So first I need to make sure I'm on the main branch, and now I can do git merge feature. We want to merge feature branch into the main branch, and we have this auto merging main conflict, and it says merge conflict in main. So git saying there is a merge conflict in the main file, and this message automatic merge failed, and it says fix conflicts and then commit the result. So basically git could not automatically merge, and the reason is that both of the main and the feature branch change the same line. So git does two things in the merge conflict state. One, it makes these markers with this head and these symbols and also this equal sign, which basically it highlights. So if we look at you can see it also in the VS Code that this main.py is now a red color. And then git, what it does is that it adds these markers to show you where the conflict is. And it gives the control to the user, and we as a user need to decide which of these two versions we need to keep. This is one thing is happening, which we will show how to do it. Another thing is that, remember I mentioned these index zeros. Let's take a look at the git ls files dash dash stage again. And if we look at here again carefully, we see that for the main.py file, we have these 1, 2, and 3 versions. This is basically the way Git knows that there is a conflict. And we have 3 versions because one version is for the merge base commit. The other one comes from the main branch, and the third one comes from the feature branch. So Git is keeping 3 versions at the moment, and basically the user, us, we need to fix the conflict and then add this to the staging, and when we will do it, then Git will remove these 3 stages and will save the new file. And that is how Git knows that the conflicts have solved. So as long as there are numbers other than 0 here, Git knows that it is in the merge conflict state. All right, so let's go back to our file, and here VS Code has also highlighted this that it's easier to see. We can even click accept current change, or so the current change is the main, so we are on the main branch. If I accept the current change, it will keep this line. Accept incoming change is the change that is coming from the feature branch. If I click on this, so this comes from the VS Code, it's not from the Git, so these things that you can click. Accept both changes, if I click on this, it will keep both of these, but it's not usually desired because usually you want to keep one of these prints. So I'm just gonna manually edit this file. So I'm gonna, let's say, remove this manually. I'm just gonna keep this like this. All right, so I kept this version. You can even add anything, so I can even do this. This will still be fine. You can do anything here as long as you change it, and then we will add it. So let's go back to our terminal. Now I'm gonna use git status. So we have 2 things here. We see a modified file because we also changed chapter 1 in the feature branch, and the most important thing, we have this main.py, and here we see that Git is telling us both modified. It tells us what to do. It says git add to add and mark as the resolution. So we did it. We already decided which version we keep, and now we can just use git add and then main.py, and here we are. So if I use git status again, we see now that nothing here, and I can just do git commit. Before doing git commit, I can do git ls files dash dash stage, and now you can see that indeed if you look at the index, everything is 0. Now Git knows that there are no conflicts, and it can continue creating the snapshot or the new commit, the merge commit. So I'm gonna use git commit, and here Git gives us the chance to change the commit message. I'm just gonna leave it like this. We can do shift W right and Q to get out of this, and we have our new commit the merge commit. So I'm gonna use git log -- graph -- all, and you can see here the head, we're on the main branch, and the main is pointing at this commit, which is the merge commit. And you can see that where the feature branch is pointing. And here in this diagram, you see that we started from this ancestor commit, and then we had these two for the feature branch, and then we had this commit for the in the main, and then we merged these back to the main branch, and here we are. So that's it for today. In the next video, we will consider other types of Git merge conflicts. See you then.